Okay, it is 9:40 a.m. and I had one trade with OWUV, and I think I got kind of lucky with this one, and I'll go over why in a moment. But this was essentially a trade because, as you can see, it had a first green day the other day, which was Friday. It had news, I believe, and it was a bit more significant than just a regular uptrending day because you can see it has a lot more volume than it normally has. And the idea was is that it was going to have a potential second green day and it could be like a morning spike. So I was watching this one and it did have a little bit of a gap up. It did close around this 54 level and then we opened a bit higher at 57. And then it was trading back and forth right here. It was already above VWAP. So the idea was is that it was going to ideally break this little mini channel that it has in the morning and then it can lead to a morning spike. And that was why I bought 2,500 shares at 573 at 934 right here. And I did get in right before it started to break out because it did look like there was really positive price action. It was looking like it was trying to, uptrend and break out the level, especially on the level two. And it also helped that the lows, as you can see here, got a little bit higher than this level right here. So this one worked out. But I also saw later, now that I got out of the trade, that 10 Sykes had like a buy alert go off that he bought at 6. So I'm sure there were a bunch of yuppies who were just market ordering the crap out of this, chasing his trades. And I might have been the guy who was selling shares to those people. But I mean, in most cases, this setup works. This just worked really well because there were a bunch of people jumping in, copying Tim's trade, I guess. But I did sell 1,000 shares, which was a little less than half of my position at 935. When it just like the ask just lifted up so much, and the bid wasn't really uptrending with it, and I did sell some at 639. That was right here. It seems like right around the close of this candle is when I sold some. And then I sold the last 1,500 shares at 653, and that was at 936. 653 was right here. So yeah, this setup normally works out, just not this crazy. Don't chase other people's trade ideas or alerts. That's stupid, because then you'll be selling your prices for much less than what you bought it for. While I guess the guy selling you those shares is getting a lot more than he would expect out of it. I will keep watching this. Maybe it can like downtrend and make higher lows, and if it can stop trading with a spread, it could be something with more consistency around it. This one is reversing. I was watching this one for a potential reversal. I don't mind that I wasn't a part of it in the morning because I was looking at OWUV, and this stock is just sketchy in general. I have no interest of considering a dip buy or like a potential bull flag because I tried it this day, I believe. Yeah, I believe this day, and it just kept failing. It was not offering an opportunity to bounce. Oh, this one also worked out. I was also looking at the same setup with TXTM. Not really like OWUV where it's having a second green day, and the idea it uptrend some more. This one's already been up for a while, but it started to get a little more exponential, as you can see over here, and the volume also shows it. I was watching for a break and it did do it, and it also broke past a penny. So here's an example of the setup that I was going for. Same setup as this one, but this one worked way more because there were those people, I guess, just a bunch of yuppies chasing Tim's buy alert. That's essentially what happened. And then this one was just too sketchy. I wasn't looking at it. It worked out though. I'll make an update later. I'll be watching TXTM as well if it does like a dip under VWAP, but it holds above the low. And if it shows a sign of a reversal, maybe I can continue a setup with that, especially because this one doesn't trade with a crazy spread like OWUV does. I'll make an update later. This is what I have for right now. It is 11:27 a.m. and I'm going to go over a few setups. This is turning out to be a better day, especially compared to the entirety of last week. But there were a few setups that I could have traded that I did miss out on. First one was GTII. I could have been in this one, not just at a lower price, but I could have actually been in it right here. I was watching this because this looked like a symmetrical triangle and it was breaking the upper part of it, so that was a bullish setup, not a bearish setup. And I had a chance to get in at 141 and it had a little blip right here. It didn't get that much higher above 146. It almost looks like a head and shoulders, shoulder, head, shoulder, but the fact that it downtrended after making the shoulder, held VWAP, and now held this trend line right here was like super bullish. And I did take into consideration, I was really hesitating on this stock, but I did buy ultimately 50, no, 100 shares at 145 at 11.19, which was right here. I could have been in this again at a lower price at like 142, but I don't know. I just wanted to see multiple levels of confirmation because I traded this last week and it just didn't work out. It was continuously downtrending, and this time it's trading a lot better. And I did get in for the main reason that a large bidder showed up, and that kind of offered more support. There was like a bidder that showed up at 143, and then another one that's been there at 140 with 10,000 shares. So it just gave me more reason to consider the setup. I could still be in this setup, but I did get out because I started to see big sellers at the ask at 153 and 154, and I want to see what it can do. I want to see if it can try to break the day high. It's still holding this trend line, and if I was still in this setup, I would be wanting to get out of it immediately. If it maybe breaks below 150, it looks ugly, and it gets below 146, or if it touches 146, that will be under this trend line at this very exact minute, and I would be out of it. But I did sell half of my position at 148 and a half, 11.22, which was right here, right around here is when I sold half of my position. And then I did get out again because of those big sellers. I could still be in this. In theory, I should still be in this, but I did get out of my last piece at 150, not 151, but $1.51 at 11.26 right here. That's when I got out. I want to see if it can break the day high. That would be impressive. I wanted to see multiple confirmations that this thing could work, especially how scary it is because it was like really down low at this point right here the other day, Friday, and now it's way up and it's continuously doing like a really positive bullish setup. This symmetrical triangle breaking above it. I'll make an update as to what this one does, and I did miss out on TXTM. Not necessarily this one because I was trading OWUV, but this was nice right here when it broke the 104 level. I wonder what the level 2 was showing when it was doing this, but when it broke past 104, it did follow this trend line from all the way back here, from this wick right here to the corner before the breakout. Very impressive. That could have been a very profitable move, and something I did miss out on for sure. I could have been in at a better price with GTII, and I could still be holding, in theory, the position and, leave some money on the table. And OWUV dried up. It didn't have any more volume. It just kind of, started the trade back and forth with a bit of a spread because it was not as much price action as it was in the morning. So that's the case with that one. No interest with IOUS. I'll keep looking at GTII to see what it does ultimately. My best sell was 151, but it's still holding this trend line. So in theory, as long as it doesn't, break below it, it still has plenty of opportunity for it to maybe consolidate a bit, or maybe put up like a higher low, and then eventually break the level. Maybe it won't do it. Again, I did just take a, like just a call and consider the sell right then and there because of the sellers I saw there. But yeah, I'll make an update later as to what it does. Maybe take a nap because I'm definitely feeling a bit sleep deprived. I'll make an update later. Okay, it is 5:52 p.m. and I'm here to call it off. Overall, I'm going to be up on a day 23 bucks and 27 cents, and that was trading OWUV and GTII. Just to go over it briefly, OWUV was at morning range breakout setup, ideal potential second green day with decent volume on the first green day. This one worked out a little better than average. I was a bit lucky with this one because there was that buy alert, and then there were a bunch of little yuppies that were chasing the order, trying to market enter their positions or whatever. And yeah, this one dried up. It didn't have any more volume and it sold off a bit later. And then TXTM, I don't give myself any, issue for missing this one because I was looking at OWUV, but this one also worked out super nicely, and there wasn't any influence like OWUV. This one also did a super nice move, and I do give myself some crap for not being a part of this breakout. This one would have been something nice to have been at, so 104, and it did get as high as to the 11.2 level, and it followed a trend line very nicely from the very beginning right here. I could have also have traded GTII right here the first time, and then it had like a little blip, and then when it came back I did wait for multiple confirmations, and I did get in at least at 145. I'm glad I was a part of it, even though I could have been at like 142 or 143. It did break this level later. This was kind of nice how, it made a top right here. It wasn't able to get above the day high, and then it eventually did, and it started trading back and forth. That was something just interesting to look at, the way it just broke past the level, but not a really clean setup. Or if I were to have been a part of it, I would have felt like I'm chasing because I'm in it right here for a break past the day high, and then it might not continue to do much more, especially because it just came from this dip right here, and it was having like a really big move towards the upside. That's pretty much it. I could have done a little better with GTII. Maybe I could have just had like, I don't know, maybe 20 shares just to go through the experience of perhaps letting it break the trend line, and then ideally making a higher low off of here, which it did. And then, this bounce didn't really do that much, but then I could have had that extra experience. I could have been a part of TXTM with this setup right here. So there were definitely a few things I could have done better, but overall, a lot of good lessons learned. That's all I have for today.